There seems to be some unspoken rules about what's acceptable to say publicly when speaking about marriage and relationships. But as you can probably figure out by now, I don't really care about those rules. I care about shedding light on where there's confusion, darkness. And one of the things I want to point out is that when people speak about give marriage advice, tips, tricks, tools to help with a better marriage, they'll give this like blanket recommendation with a blanket disclaimer saying that this will help, this will work for you as long as you're not dealing with addiction and abuse. The problem with this is that that disclaimer is very not sufficient. First of all, besides for abuse and addiction, there's also avoidance. Some avoidance is normal and we could work with that, but very avoidant, none of these little Q-tips and tricks and relationship advice are going to work with avoidance either. But let's look at abuse and addiction. So first of all, with addiction, what kind of addictions are we talking about? We're just talking about like substance abuse, pornography, like what addictions? Because there's also addictions to blame, to being the victim, to projection, and that is a very real addiction. And if your spouse has that, none of the communication ideas and connection ideas are going to work long term because they're not going to give up their supply of blame, projection, and victimhood. It's just not happening. And when it comes to abuse, well, how do we define abuse? From what I've seen, people only think of abuse in the more severe terms when it's like a severe abuse that, where there's like a shock value to the abuse. But anything that causes harm is abusive, right? And there's all sorts of ways that a spouse can be committed to their dysfunctional patterns that causes harm, like more subtle forms of control or manipulation or gaslighting or extreme defensiveness and dismissiveness, contempt, criticism, the list goes on. And then you pair that with a lack of accountability because there's an addiction to blame, victimhood, and projection. Pair that with avoidance too. I mean, there's no winning here. There's no winning here. And what the typical marriage advice out there for women, and there's all sorts of advice, what it does in these situations is it puts the burden on the woman to be the carrier of the marriage, to hold the marriage together, where she is the shalom. She's not receiving shalom bayis, she is the shalom.